from Meredith Baxter to a remarkable statement by Tom Friedman in his column in the New York Times. To this issue with which I will begin, New York Times poll finds sexting common among young people. Washington, Associated Press. Think your kid is not sexting? Think again. Sexting, sharing sexually explicit photos, videos, and chat by cell phone or online, is fairly commonplace among young people, despite sometimes grim consequences for those who do it. More than a quarter of young people have been involved in sexting in some form, an Associated Press MTV poll found. That includes Sammy, a 16-year-old from the San Francisco Bay Area who asked that his last name not be used. Sammy said he had shared naked pictures of himself with girlfriends. He also shared naked pictures of someone else that a friend had sent him. And some of them have been charged with criminal activity because you can't send pictures of minors through the internet or any other way, even if you're the minor, him or herself. The article near the end notes criminal charges aren't the worst consequences. In at least 2 cases, sexting has been linked to suicide. Last year in Cincinnati, 18-year-old Jessica Logan hanged herself after weeks of ridicule at school. She had sent a nude cell phone picture to her boyfriend, and after they broke up, he forwarded the picture to other girls. And 3 months ago, 13-year-old Hope Witzel hanged herself after relentless taunting at her school near Tampa, Florida. She had sent a nude photo of herself to a boy she liked, and another girl used his phone to send the picture to other students who forwarded it. The St. Petersburg Times first reported on Hope's death this week. Now, obviously, the vast majority of times it doesn't lead to suicide. I just wanted to note some of the things that are done. I just want to say that a vast experiment has been perpetrated on this generation by and on this generation of Americans. The experiment is what happens to people who are thrust into a world of pure sex at a very early age. It's like an experiment. If a scientist wanted to create an experiment, then it has been done. My prediction, vast numbers of females will not enjoy sex in their marriage. That is my prediction. Based on talking to women on the radio for many years precisely about this. The earlier and more extensive the sexual behavior of a female, the less she identifies sex with joy, and the more she identifies it with having been used, which she is, because whatever feminism has taught, most of which was wrong, about the male and female being the same, and that sex is as meaninglessly joyful to a female as it can be meaningless joyful to a male. The victims of that teaching, the victims of that feminist idiocy have been females. The guys are scratching their heads as to how lucky they got that a generation of females has been brainwashed into believing that they regard sex the same way males do. Males have been hoping for this for the last 62,000 years, and feminism has given them the key to their fantasy. Of course, I don't think it's particularly good for the boys either. Part of the great joy of growing up is to work your way into sex and work your way into romance, and to have that as part of your life, to try to win over a female is biggest reason that males have ever become excellent. The biggest single reason men achieve is to win a female. If you can win females by doing nothing, which after all is what is done when you're 15, what have you achieved? A birthday? You will not be ambitious. And I believe that will be one of the never mentioned bad consequences to boys. I can speak for me. When I was in high school, I really believed that I had to become something to get a girl. So there's a massive loss here, a massive loss to a generation with the staggering sexualization of their lives. And what happens is you have sex more, but you enjoy it less. That's what happens, because a lot of the joy of sex is earning it, so to speak. Certainly for the man, the pursuit is half the fun. And for the woman, female nature has not changed. We had a male-female hour on this very subject. Natures don't change. Behavior and culture and values change, but not nature. The female of the human species wants to have some sense of commitment from the male that she sleeps with. This has been shattered because, in part, of the feminist indoctrination that sex is the same for both sexes. And so there's another factor that needs to be commented on here, and that is the pursuit of thrills. It's a generation that has no real thrill from what thrilled generations in the past. It's not such a big deal, and because the thrill, what is a thrill? You can almost physiologically define it as adrenaline production. Adrenaline production today is sex, because nothing produces adrenaline like that, but no longer even sex. Now it has to be, I will send a naked photo to you, because that's a little more risque. Anybody who knows me, who has read me, who has heard me, who has my 4 CDs on male sexual nature would know that if anybody is not hung up about that subject, it is yours truly. What I am hung up about is protecting kids' innocence, because they have it once in their life. And I think that it stymies the growth of kids to sexualize them so early. Of course, but then again, the hyper-sophisticated will say, oh, what are you talking about? Even 5-year-olds, according to Freud, even 5-year-olds, they play with themselves and they explore, and even they have sexual feelings. I'm talking about a consciousness in the mind, my friend. Okay? When I looked up girl skirts, when I walked up the steps in kindergarten, I was not thinking sex. I was thinking, what's under that skirt? It was as innocent as it gets, although obviously it has sexual overtones, but I didn't know them, and that's what matters. The thought that when I was 14, a girl in my class would send me a naked picture of her, I mean, it's a new world, and it's not a better world for it. Women have told me how their promiscuous lives when they were young deprived them of later joy in having sex in their marriage or simply as an adult. Plus, I mean, wherever anything is in abundance, it loses some of its meaning. Isn't that obvious? If a guy doesn't that was what, as I said earlier, it's what made guys work hard. Get a girl. If you get a girl anyway, why work hard? All right, that's a subject for another time. Meredith Baxter came out as a lesbian. Now there's something that the LGBT crowd and its heterosexual defenders are not clear about. They tell us that sexual orientation is fixed, right? I mean, that's the whole point that they make. It's fixed. So what are you going to worry about? What are we going to make kids into lesbians and gays? Of course not. That's the argument, okay? And by the way, the argument is largely accurate with regard to the male, but it is not accurate with regard to the female. There is a simplistic view of sexual orientation on the left because they want to, well, frankly, do about sexual orientation what they have done about the data in global warming. Cite what they want to push their agenda, not tell the truth. The truth is, and by the way, people on the right need to know this, gay men don't choose to be gay. And when I hear this from a conservative, I am just as annoyed. But gay women is a far more complex question. Meredith Baxter proves my point